My Catholic Faith. Lesson 19. Evolution and the Bible. Although there are some points of similarity between the skeletons of man and the ape, the differences are numerous and fundamental. As one scientist remarked, evolutionists might as well claim that man descended from any other form of life, because differences between man and the ape are as important as between man and other forms. The ape has neither chin nor forehead. Its foot grasps like a hand. Its teeth are not arranged in close rows. If it were forced to stand erect, it would be looking upwards, not forward. The average weight of its brain compared to that of its body is 1 to 70. For man, the ratio is 1 to 35. The ape cannot speak articulately. How did the body of the first man originate? It would seem, according to the Bible, that the body of the first man was made by God from the dust of the earth. Then the Lord God formed man out of the dust of the ground. We must understand these words as the sacred author intended them. He was not a scientist, and he was not writing for scientists. He was writing for simple people who could understand important truths only if they were presented in a simple story form. This story teaches us two truths: that God created man just as he created everything else. The author is not interested in how man was created. And that man is mortal by nature. This is indicated by the material elements in man, dust of the ground. What is the theory of evolution? Evolution is a theory concerning the origin and development of plants, animals, and man. There are many variations of the theory, but basically it holds that life began with the simplest forms, then developed to more complex forms, until at last the most complex form, man, was evolved. It is no longer common for the evolutionists to teach that man is descended from the ape. Actually, there are so many basic differences between man and ape that there can be no question of a direct relationship. However, there are also so many bodily resemblances between the two that the possibility of a common heritage must be admitted. No true scientist today would say that the evolutionist theory has been absolutely proved, in the sense that a precise scientific description can be given of the process of man's formation from a subhuman ancestor. No missing link has been found. However, most scientists today, arguing from the wealth of evidence that connects man's bodily organism with the brute animals and from the actual development and the bodily structure of man himself, accept the theory as a working hypothesis. As stated above, the Bible teaches us nothing about the manner in which man's body was formed. It teaches only that God is responsible for man's creation. Therefore, whether the theory of evolution is proved or not, the teaching of the Bible will remain unchanged. The Church has never made an infallible definition regarding the evolution of man's body. In his encyclical Humani Generis of 1950, Pope Pius XII stated that research can freely be made on the subject of the origin of a human body from pre-existent living matter. He cautioned, at the same time, that the arguments on both sides must be examined with great care and moderation. The theory, or hypothesis, must not be confused with scientifically established facts. What is the origin of the human soul? God directly creates every human soul out of nothing. This truth is not directly stated in Genesis, since those ancient authors did not conceive of the human soul as we do today. However, they knew that man was utterly distinct from brute animals. They knew, too, that this distinction was based on the fact that man was made in the image of God, and they attributed this to the creative will of God. Therefore, we can say that, if the author had had our concept of the soul, he would have said that man's soul was directly created by God. Pius XII, in the encyclical quoted above, reaffirmed the traditional Catholic faith when he said that we are obliged to hold that souls are immediately created by God. Man's soul is not produced from some other soul or matter. It is spiritual and simple. It did not exist before the person lived. It did not come to exist after he was already alive. Man's life is due to his soul. As soon as the soul leaves the body, life ceases. The investigations of scientists have discovered a singular universality and sameness in ideas of right and wrong, a moral code, in all races and peoples, however primitive. These are universally looked upon as wrong. The wanton murder of one not an enemy stealing from one's own group, maltreatment of children, irreverence, incest, adultery. If this attitude resulted from fear of reprisal, why is not murder considered wrong when against an enemy? Why has incest always been regarded as wrong, when primitive men surely could have no idea of the evils of inbreeding? One must conclude that this universal conscience comes from one source. Man's soul is not derived from his parents. Only his body is derived from them. There is no possible evolution of the soul, for it is a spiritual substance, not subject to the laws of physical nature, and could not possibly be developed from a lower or material form of life. Manifestations of the soul, like cleverness, talent, traits of character, etc., by which children resemble their parents, are due to the attributes of the body that they derive from their parents, or to training in the family. If one holds a coloured glass to the light, the reflection will have the colour of the glass. But the glass did not make the sun whose reflection is cast. Is even the mind a product of evolution? The most primitive man is capable of abstract reasoning. The most intelligent beasts cannot think in concepts. How many centuries were there from Adam to Christ? The Church has never given a decision, and the question may possibly never be answered. The Bible teaches nothing directly on this matter. The line of patriarchs which it gives, with their ages, was intended principally to show that there is a connection between Abraham, with whom public revelation begins, and the first man whose sin made that history necessary. The ages of the patriarchs, as given in the Bible, are symbolic, not real. Some Catholic theologians state that the age of man may be stretched to 10 or 100,000 years or even longer. Neither scientists nor theologians have come to a definite solution.